Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus with our weekly live Q&A. So a big thank you and welcome to everyone joining in. I can see we've got a few people in the live chat, so let me know if you can hear me. I can see we've got DJ Frosttap top. We've also got Matt, we've got Bubba Trolling and Kelly. So a big hello to all of you. So this is our weekly Q&A, and my dogs have already started going. And so this here is what we do, is all about answering your questions. So these are sent in advance by our Patreon and YouTube channel members, but also the YouTube channel members can also so it's typical. They've been quiet for 20 minutes, and then I press live, and then suddenly they start growling at each other. Yeah, so all the questions have sent in by in advance. You can also use the live chat if you are a YouTube channel member. You can also use the super chat function as well to send in your questions and etc. All of this all helps towards funding What's on Disney Plus, keeping the site going, keeping the YouTube channel going, and everything like that. Yeah, and so rather than putting it behind a paywall just for YouTube channel members and patrons, we open it up to everybody. So as you can see, we've got a few people in here. Matt says you can hear me, and hello to Knoxwave. So we've got quite a lot of questions today. If you are in the live chat, feel free to pop in your questions as well. As per usual, we'll be jumping in between the pre-recorded ones that have been sent in advance, and also we've got the live chat as well, so feel free to jump in. So actually just spotted this one. So DJ Frost top just said, will Disney buy WWE in October in 2024? Don't necessarily think a date, but I literally just posted an article about 10 minutes ago on the website with regards to that exact question, because according to CNBC, Disney is one of the companies that is probably likely to be in the running for it. They have actually worked together on some other projects in the past. WWE is available on Disney Plus Hotstar in Indonesia. They recently signed a new deal with Hulu to kind of tie it all up with linear rights. And also they're working on a reality TV show about Bianca Belair and Montez Ford. So they are actually working together on projects. So it's not like, oh, this could never happen. Well, they're dealing on stuff. But I don't think, I don't really think so. But I think it's all just a ruse to try and get some more money. But nevertheless, right. Let's jump into some of the questions. So let's start off with the title question, where Seatan says, will Wakanda Forever come into Disney Plus on the 1st of February, 82 days after the cinema release? Is Disney going back to its pre-pandemic theatrical window? Now, 82 days, I think, is one of the longest we've seen in recent years. And I'm going to be honest, I think we are going to see some slightly extended sort of theatrical windows. I think we're going to move away from the 45-day window, because I do feel that's a little bit short, especially on major blockbusters. And there's also training people to kind of wait in some ways. I know I'm guilty of it. I'm sure many of you are as well, where you've just waited because you went, well, it'll be on Disney Plus in a few weeks, so I might as well just, especially if you don't see it that first week or two, you start going, well, I might as well just wait now. The Menu, for example, dropped here in the UK this past week. That only came out about barely 45 days ago. Banshees of Inisherin was the same. So, we're kind of seeing this kind of thing with smaller titles. It maybe makes less sense to hold on to it for too long. But with movies like Black Panther, I think Avatar Way of Water is going to be even longer. And when you say about going back to pre-pandemic levels, I don't think sometimes we remember how bad it was before the pandemic, where we had to wait sometimes up to between 6 and 9 months between a film being released and coming out on Disney Plus. So I don't think we're ever going to get back to those levels. I think like if I remember rightly, like Rise of Skywalker was around about 6 months. I think there's a lot of I think we are probably, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we were looking at maybe 90 days. They might take it on a case-by-case basis, but I feel like Disney probably are in a situation right now where they need to start retraining us that it's not going to come as quickly. I think a 45-day window, as much as I love the 30-day window for like Strange World, it's great for us, but I can see it's not very good for Disney. It's not very good financially. And ultimately, if it's not good for Disney financially, that means we might not get as many big movies. The budgets might get cut. There might not be as much stuff coming if they can't make the money back, because getting everything quicker and faster doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good in the long run. So let me know what you think. How many days do you personally think is good? 45, 30, 90, 120? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this works. So Dana says, with the 18 episode Daredevil show, do you think we could see an appearance by the new Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, or other Defenders, or maybe a She-Hulk appearance? The trouble is, it depends on the tone. I think She-Hulk. I mean, we've already had the connection there, so that would make maybe some sense. Maybe just have Jen in, but I think you can't really have her coming in and doing quips and stuff. It depends on what the tone of this new series is. Hawkeye, bringing in Kate might make sense if she's in New York. I think having real human superheroes in there probably will work a little bit better than maybe bringing in Jessica Jones but I feel like, yeah, I mean, Kate Bishop would be a great way of kind of continuing on that story. So I definitely could see it happening, especially if it's 18 episodes. Much more likely maybe to have a few ones in the middle. Mamo says, when will we get the February list for the US? And because it will be Black History Month, what content will they add? So generally, Disney tends to send out the monthly lists for the US it starts around about the 15th of the month and runs through to sometimes around about the 22nd. So it can be any time in that period. There's no set one day that it comes out. Sometimes it's early, sometimes it's late. So it's probably way too early. We'll probably start maybe hearing about some of the other originals and stuff coming up pretty soon. I'd imagine they want to kind of get the ball rolling on some of those kind of things. As far as what's going to be on Black History Month, Disney have been bad at, like, in general, of not putting things on Disney Plus for celebrations and things like that. I mean, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is obviously a big one. I don't know. I mean, maybe if they could put maybe Mixed Dish on there, maybe make sure they've got fully up to date on Grownish, and just getting in there loads more shows, loads more movies and stuff. I think just in general, just more. But I always tend to go into these celebrations and these sort of months and stuff like that, expect nothing, and then you don't get disappointed, because unfortunately Disney are not very good sometimes at kind of going all in on this. Last year they did pretty well with adding a lot of shows like Blackish and Wonder Years, etc., but it's been a bit laxer ever since. They didn't really go too much all in. So that's it. Let's see what we've got here. Some questions. Kayla said, if Jen Walters does do a cameo in Daredevil, it's likely to be Jen talking to Matt on the phone and not hulking out due to the budget constraints. Yeah, that's 100%. I could definitely see that being being something that happens for sure. Tim says, when will Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the movie, be released on Disney on DVD? Not necessarily say it's going to be. It is a Disney Plus original, so maybe a year, maybe a bit more, but they've not released any other movies on home video yet. You know, we've not seen, I mean, other than like the only movies we've really seen released on home video are ones that were going to cinema and then weren't, like the Pixar movies, for example, Turning Red and Soul, etc. I would say we're probably not going to see it. Generally, physical media, they're not selling as much as they used to, so it might not be likely. Mao says, when we'll hear more news about the reorganization that Bob Iger is planning for the entertainment business. I would have thought we're probably going to hear something in the next few weeks. They've had a month now to kind of sort things out, but at the same time, I don't want them to rush. There's no need for them to rush out with that information. There has been a quarterly financial call has been announced for February, so they're going to be, that time is going to be when they're going to start kind of giving out some information. I'd rather they take their time and do it properly. I mean, it sounds like, yeah, you don't want them rushing just to kind of get that information out there. Ultimately, from our point of view, it will take a while for things to get sorted. Babak says, Netflix has recently added some interactive experiences like workout videos and trivia games. Do you think Disney Plus will follow suit? Yeah, I mean, workout videos, they kind of always kind of reminds me of this time of year when every like celebrity brings out a get fit video. It used to be really big back with the VHS days and DVDs. I think Disney, personally, like, it feels a little bit like that's quite low quality content, and I feel now like with like YouTube and Twitch, etc., do we need that kind of things like workout videos and trivia games? You know, you can get that kind of cheap content somewhere else, much more interactive as well. Gavin says, when do you think the ad tier will be added onto Disney Plus internationally, more importantly in the UK? Maybe much later in the year. They'll want to get it on there pretty soon, but maybe UK might run a little bit quicker than some other networks, other countries, sorry. So April, maybe, around then. And Gavin also says, do you think that the ad tier will aid towards its synced global release schedule for all content, or would it be after Hulu is sorted? I think there's probably multiple levels of why the global release dates sort of schedules are all over the place. I think some of it is down to some studios seem to be better at it than others. I feel there is some issues with I do wonder, like with like shows like ABC, a lot of them they actually haven't finished making this series when it's starting to air. They're still filming it while it's running, so therefore it's not a complete product. So it's much easier to send, say, for example, like Welcome to Chippendales off to get like all the subtitles and all the dubbing and stuff done. Whereas if they're still filming it, it's the speed of it is not as fast and things are being done much quicker. So I feel like that might be an issue. I'd like it to be sorted. It might not be till after Hulu is sorted. Let's jump back now into the live. So here we go. Dana says, I could see Disney not acquire WWE, but get the rights to lease all their programming. I think it depends really on whether or not the WWE actually gets sold. I think there is going to be some massive bidding wars between all of the companies trying to get hold of this. Definitely going to be hard for. There's going to be a lot of interest because, but to get all of the global rights, I feel like that's going to be the thing that there are a lot of them are going to be going for, global rights to be able to really utilize this kind of. There's no point just getting this and getting that and breaking it all up. I think it's going to be a big thing, but it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. Let's see what other live questions we've got in here. Feel free to keep sending them in. So Matt says, what do you think they could add to Disney Plus for Black History Month? I feel like if they could add a lot more of the documentaries they've done in the past, just getting up to date on a load of shows, mixed-ish, maybe like My Wife and Kids. So just some great content just to pop on there would be great. Matt says, what three things like to see a change on Disney Plus in 2023? So if you're asking me what three things would I like to see, I would definitely love to see better global releases for everything. I can kind of give a little, it's like the Magic of Animal Kingdom season 2. It got released in the US. Why not release it globally? You know, what's going on there? You know, Welcome to Chippendales. Why are we getting it here in the UK and Europe next week when it's been out for months? You know, like I would like some more solid, just global releases. And you know, this month is probably one of the worst we've seen it. You know, we've seen like If These Walls Could Sing. Why was that delayed a month? Or even if they could just sort out, you know, I mean, it's not you know, get out in the UK, Canada, Australia, and the UK, and New Zealand, etc., all at the same time, because at least, and you know, maybe Singapore and South Africa, you know, and if you've got to hold it back because you've not got the French dubbing or French, then just delay it in France rather than the whole place, the whole like. That's how I feel like that with that one. Especially, that's my own little issue. I'd just like them to start sorting out. I'm probably going to go again with general entertainment. Sort out what's going on in the US. Start filling in the US with more content. Start getting that sorted and start slowly filtering in and just focus. Just get them to focus, because at the minute it just feels like we're just in a holding pattern until next year, until they can do something. And even then, they might not do anything next year. They might just keep the status quo. I hope they don't. But you know, we're putting this 2024 thing on there. You know, we might not see anything happen for years. And then my third thing, just some UI changes to Disney Plus, you know, maybe some more hubs or collections. There's not really been any major changes to the actual design for well over a year. Make it much clearer when new episodes are dropping. Either even if they could just add the bar that they've got in Australia where it says new episodes this week, or little icons, or letting us know when things are leaving. Just some little nuggets, just to. I mean, I've heard there was a question here, and I'll jump into that one now, actually, while we're on that topic. Where was it? Can't see it's typical, isn't it? There was a question about the idea with Disney. Oh, I completely lost track of yeah, so the idea really with just Disney Plus just updating its UI really, and I think it's something that they definitely need to do much more. Right. here we go. So Kaylee says, why do so many news analysts want Disney to spin off ABC and ESPN? And I'll say, I get not everyone is into sports, but ABC has helped Disney out so much since prior to that. They've licensed their programming on all 3 stations. And Matt also says, I heard that Disney might sell ABC, ESPN. So the idea that you said about might, it literally was an article that kind of got picked up and ran with as they are doing it, rather than it just being a speculative piece. I think a lot of the news analysts are looking at trying to do a quick fix. Get rid of ESPN, because then what can happen is they'll get some more money. A lot of the analysts and stuff, they're very much looking at the short-term benefit of just trying to get the stock price up so they can make some money, or get people to get money. So sometimes with stocks and stuff, they are very much just looking for a short-term boost. And they're looking at get rid of linear and get rid of sports and just go all in on streaming, which I think right now we seem to definitely be seeing a pattern where linear is not going to be going away completely. It's just falling away, but there's still money to be made. I definitely feel like there is still a need for us to have linear networks, and they still need to make money from it. I personally am not that much into sports. I mean, I watch a bit of mixed martial arts, MMA, and also I do like WWE. So for me, I don't really want to see a lot of sports on Disney and pushing the price up and all the rest of it. I'd be quite happy for it to be ESPN Plus. But sport is a big draw, and it is a big draw for people. And I feel like we're seeing with all of the streaming platforms, they all need that content. Let's jump into here and see what we've got here. Thank you very much to Keenan for the super chats. He's saying, I'm having trouble joining the free live chat. There is no free live chat today. It is just for YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support. Yeah, I did a free live chat last week for New Year's. Generally, I do them about once a month so everyone can join in. But yeah, this week is just purely a YouTube channel members. But thank you for your support. Kayla said, speaking of ABC, ESPN, Guillermo from Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen A. Smith are getting involved in the WrestleMania build. Something is definitely brewing. Yeah, they definitely could be in there. I don't tend to watch Jimmy Kimmel or anything like that, so that's I sometimes see some of the clips of if they've done something funny, but that's about it. Dana says, I think Disney will use Hulu in the US as Star internationally, as the US knows. I actually think Star will end up becoming a brand within Disney Plus, that it's like the international and other stuff. It's like a catch-all. I think they will use, but then they can use like FX and ABC and 20th Century as the brands to kind of fill that. I think we're just not necessarily just going to get Star. So that's how that's going to run. Let's see what other live questions here we've got in. So Suna says, will Disney buy CBS? I can't see that we would be allowed to. I don't think Disney would be allowed to own the television networks. And buying Paramount or Viacom and all that, Disney's not really in a position where it probably can do that with the money. And also, it's buying more of what they already have. Do they need more movie studios? Do they need more television network and stuff? I wouldn't necessarily say right now they really need to. They don't really need to do that. Let's see what else we've got here. So Daniel says, I feel kind of pessimistic that Hulu will one day merge with Disney Plus. Is there a reason for me to worry? Bob Iger, the CEO, doesn't give me hope. Right. So I think the idea of being pessimistic about Disney and Plus and Hulu merging, you've got to be realistic. If it does happen, it might not be for 18 months to 2 years at the earliest. I think the idea of the 2024 deadline doesn't necessarily mean on January the 2nd of next year, it's over with and they can move. There's going to be, they have to negotiate the price and all the rest of it. They have to sort it out. In the meantime, Disney still has to keep providing content to Hulu. It can't just pull it all off and move it all over because then, they're reducing the value of Hulu and it would be seen, then there could be lawsuits and stuff. So Disney has to keep feeding Hulu. It's like recently they've been advertising, advertising like some National Geographic stuff has been shifting. A lot of it is temporary. A lot of it is just being done, I feel like, to boost up viewership of that content, spread the costs around a little bit, but also, and I feel this one might be the best one, if we start seeing content being shared between Hulu and Disney Plus more, it means a merger is much more gonna flow better because people are gonna be much more used to it. You're gonna be used to seeing Hulu customers are going to be more used to seeing Disney content, and Disney customers are going to be more used to seeing Hulu content. So it actually runs both ways. As far as Bob Iger being CEO, a lot of stuff people keep going back to like what Bob Iger was saying back before Disney Plus launched back in 2019, talking about how it's family friendly and doesn't want it and wants to keep Hulu. You got to remember at that time he was trying to sell Disney Plus. The streaming world was a very different place. He still had at least 5 years left of the Hulu deal, so there was no point in them going all in on it when they couldn't do anything about it. Things have changed. Bob Iger himself has said that they need to add more stuff to it and they need to utilize it. Yes, he liked it being separate, but talking about it from 5 years ago, that's a long time ago. A long, long time ago. So let's see what else we've got here. So Kay has said, I remember when Disney purchased Capital Cities ABC in the 90s, they had to say K's affiliate since it was. Yeah, there would have to be a lot of different situations like that one. So soon as says, because I want them to add Everyone Hates Chris, because that would be a good black sitcom to add to Disney. Yeah, that would be really good. I enjoyed that show. If they buy CBS, but I guess that's not going to happen because I feel like Disney they've got to sort out the Hulu. They've got to sort out what there's going on. DJ says, will Disney ever get the Spider-Man characters back for the movies? So obviously with Spider-Man, Disney does own Spider-Man. It is a Marvel character. They can use it for comic books. They can put animated series out. They can make merchandise and stuff. Disney own the character. Sony only owns the rights to use a certain number of characters for its films. Unfortunately, Universal Studios also has the rights to east of the Mississippi for use of some Marvel characters in the theme parks. That's why we don't see much Marvel stuff in Walt Disney World. So they probably could do. They could buy. If Sony got they might get it back, or they do a deal. And I don't think Sony could ever really be brought out by Disney because I don't think it'd be the cost effect and PlayStation business, etc. So Suna says, when are we going to be getting those Spider-Man Sony movies? Well, internationally, they're kind of jumping on and off. Like this past week, Far From Home dropped onto Australia, but we lost Venom because of licensing deals. Very weird because it is like, 18 months since Disney and Sony announced that they did a deal that will bring its films to its services, and it's not happened yet. It is strange. I don't know why, but hopefully as a case will be interesting. So Tan says, I think it's a case by case is good. 80 to 90 day windows for blockbusters, 60 to 70 for films, and 40 to 55 days for flops. I agree. I totally get where you're coming from, and I can see it. My only worry is this whole idea of if you have 45 day, 50 days for flops, it kind of encourages people in that first week, if it doesn't do too well, just to wait. There's a bit of a catch-22, and it's a kind of a self-prophecy of, if you're looking at it going, oh, that doesn't look that great, I'll just wait for Disney Plus. But if you know you have to wait maybe 90 days or something, you might be more inclined to go cinema. It's kind of chicken and the egg, really, isn't it? It's definitely chicken and the egg with that situation. Let's see what other questions here we got, and we'll go down through. Here's a good one. So yeah, actually, this is one I was referring to earlier. So Babak says, will Disney update its recommendation algorithm anytime soon? Mine constantly recommend things I've already seen, and it doesn't add any value to my experience. I think the term algorithm is probably giving it a little bit too much credit. I don't think there's really much of an algorithm in place. I think it just suggests things that are in like the same genre or the same kind of thing you've watched before in terms of a category. I think it's very basic. I don't think there is really any. It's not like the YouTube algorithm, which monitors how many minutes and seconds you watch, and if you skip this, they don't show it in front of you. I think the algorithm is very, very, very more simple. It's like, you watch something Marvel, here's some more Marvel. And like, you watched like some of the recommendations are ridiculous. They're not even remote. There's no algorithm in play. I think it would be nice if it was a little bit more tailored, especially internationally and stuff. But yeah, it is pretty bad. I'm just gonna have a look, see what it comes up with. Let's see what mine says. So recommended. So here, yeah. So I'll bring this up here so you can see. Share the screen window. Disney Plus. Right. So let's get rid of the question. So, like for me, mine is recommending I watch The Bad Batch. Now, I suppose technically it's right in suggesting it to me because I have watched. It doesn't know that I've actually already seen it because I've seen it on screen. Banshees of Inisherin, already seen it. National Treasure, okay, maybe because I've watched the recent episode. Like some of this stuff, I mean, why would it show me Legacy? I've never shown any interest in basketball. Some of these ones are just really random, like Elton John Live. I've already watched it 3 times. Behind it, like it is just very odd. There doesn't seem to be any like. There's just no rhyme or reason for these things. I mean, and some of them is just like I would have no interest in at all. It's just a very random one, and I wonder if I just refresh it, does it even change, or does it stay the same? No, it just stays the same. Yeah, I mean, what to watch tonight is maybe a little bit more, but again, it's just kind of it's showing me different things to watch. I don't know. I don't think there is actually any. I mean, I watched these 2 films last month. I've already watched Kingsman. Technically, I didn't watch Prey on Disney Plus. Yeah, it just seems a very strange little collection of stuff to be showing me. But yeah, nevertheless, it just was just like, yeah, the algorithm is not too good. Babak says, if Disney adds some music to Disney Plus, will they have to pay streaming fees to artists like Spotify? If they've got, probably with most of the music, yeah, he would follow a very similar path. Okay, so we've got a few more questions, and then I'll be on the live stream then for the last 15 minutes or so. Elliot says, do you know if Disney Plus added the missing episodes? I know Disney Plus had missing episodes from. There was a case last year where a whole host of episodes went missing from random shows all over the place. That seems to have been fixed in most. There are still cases of individual shows have got missing episodes. Some of them are down to different issues. Some of them are down to audit music. Some of them are down to who's in it. They've got people in there, especially like with like I think Andy Mack is an example. If it's got an actor in it that's been in trouble with the law, they tend to whip them off there so you can't see them. I know like Bear in the Big Blue House, there's a couple episodes missing that might be down to music or quality. So some of them are just in the wrong order. So they have fixed there was a glitch which just wiped out a load of them, but most of that seems to have been fixed. Babak says, with the 2022 market share information out and Peacock being so little that it's included in another section, do you think they will try to buy Hulu to gain some market share? I wouldn't be at all surprised if Disney, if Comcast was like, we'll buy Hulu and then sort it out with Hulu. It actually makes a lot of sense from their point of view to do that. Actually, from Disney's point of view, if you're going to end up merging it in with Disney Plus, you might as well just take your content and go and do it and not worry about it. Connor says, following the success of Matriarch, Barbarian, and the Menu, could you see Disney becoming a major player in the horror market? Yeah, I think 20th Century has always been in that market now, and I feel like horror especially seems to be doing very well at the box office. It's pulling in the younger crowd, which are going to cinemas. They're making money on it, and like Megan this weekend is making some money. It just feels like horror has pulled back an audience, and so low budget films are doing very well at the box office, and seems to be one genre that's doing very well as a low budget. So I definitely think we're going to see more of this one. And our final pre-done question, then we're going to be live questions for the last 15 minutes. Matt says, will we see more 20th Century Studio movies on Disney Plus in the US? I think we will do. We're definitely going to see more of them. Now that the HBO deal has ended in terms of new films, so new films coming out this year, like Cavalier, they've got more freedom of what they do with it. But the pay 1 and pay 2 windows are still active on those films that have been coming on and off. The deal isn't technically done. It's still got a long time in there. I would hope Disney could actually do a deal with Zaslav and get it sorted. So thank you very much to Lady Jennifer Snow for your super sticker. Thank you so much for your continued support. And Alexo, hello to you. Disney is going back to its pre-pandemic theatrical windows for Pixar's sake, but I also hope Iger continues putting new legacy adult content on Disney Plus in the US. I think the thing is of going back to pre-pandemic, I don't think we're going to go fully all in on completely the way it was, because some of them were like 6 months. I don't think we'll ever go back to fully that. I just think it's going to be extended from maybe the 45 to 90, maybe 120. I don't think consumers don't want to go too much beyond that. Pixar is a prime example of some films being out in cinemas a bit longer will help them. I think they need to retrain families and audiences to not wait for animated films, because animated films in general just aren't pulling people in. And it's not just Disney. I mean, there's some other issues as well going on. But yeah, I think 90 days is, for me, that would be the sweet point. 45 days does feel very, very quick. I don't mind it so much for maybe like Searchlight films. They don't need to make as much at the box office. But Avatar is storming ahead because it's such an amazing film. But also, Marvel, maybe with Black Panther, they would have been better off. Kind of, again, it's all about training and stuff. But a big thank you to Alexio. Thank you so much for your continued support. Okay, right. So here we go. So Caleb says, it's a shame there won't be any National Treasure Uncharted crossover since the latter is owned by Sony. Any interaction between Nathan Drake and Jess would be interesting. Would it? Nathan Drake, yes. I love the Uncharted video games. I've played through them all and completed them. I did enjoy the film that came out last year. But Jess in this new National Geographic or the National Treasure series, it's a bit of a. I've not even watched this week's episode yet. It's just not top priority. It's just not pulling me in. It's okay, but it's not must watch. And like I said, it's Sunday. The new episode came out on Wednesday, and I've still not watched it because it was just like, well, I'll get round to it. Maybe had we done a normal podcast episode this week, I would have been a bit more inclined to watch it to do a talk of it. But there was no inclination. I'll watch it for next week. I'll probably try and watch it tomorrow. What do you guys think of National Treasure? Is it just me, or is it okay? I don't know. Knoxwave says, when the Mandalorian season 3 releases on March the 1st, are they still planning to release it within the same day as the Bad Batch releases new episodes? Yeah, I think they are, because Bad Batch, they've already announced we're getting new episodes in March every week with a double episode finale at the end of March. It's funny you say that, because I was talking with my dad today when I went over and had lunch with my parents and family, and he went on to Bad Batch, saw it was animated, turned it off. And and we did have a chat about the fact of there's so many other people like that the minute it's animated, Bad Batch will not hit that same spot that the Mandalorian do. A lot of people watching the Mandalorian season 3 will not even check out Bad Batch. It won't really be that important. Ricardo says Disney Plus Singapore has added the Punisher film with Dolph Lundgren and Warzone with Ray Stevenson. Now all the Punisher products are on Disney Plus International. Yes, we had. I'll just check. Let's see. I know that they added the Punisher film. I know we've had one of the Punisher films. Yeah, so here in the UK, we've only got the one with John Travolta in. So I guess so that's the only one we've got so far here in the UK. Probably the other one will be coming at some point, I imagine. Right. So if we've got any more live questions, feel free to drop them in. Let's see if I've missed any. I'm just going to go back through, see if I've missed any. Here we go. Baba Trolling says, do you think that Disney will sell Warner Brothers if fans call for it? No. I think if Warner Brothers Discovery, the whole company will probably be up for sale. They're doing a lot of cost cutting right now. There's been a lot of talk from them about what they've been doing with HBO. It's kind of interesting. One of the guys running it has basically said they got carried away making too much content and spending too much content, and they've realized this, and they think other companies have done the same, and they're all going to be scaling back. And other streaming services have been following what Zaslav did in like pulling content that we've not seen before. It's kind of interesting because beforehand, if those shows were just on a television network and you didn't see them again, you wouldn't have even noticed. But yeah, I think that one will be going. Happy New Year to you, Ricardo. Let's see in here. Kaylee says, so this regards to WWE, after all what's transpired, I could see Disney putting up, oh no, this is not that. I can see Disney putting up their majority stake in Hulu up for sale. Disney has seen that Disney Plus is like with Generation. Yeah, I think it's very tricky with this one, but they've also got to keep the value up. So it's going to be tricky to see how they do that one. Let's see what else we've got here. It's unlikely that Disney would buy CBS since they also have ABC, and Paramount isn't putting CBS up for sale. No. Matt says he could see Marvel and Star Wars films getting a 90-day window release. I definitely feel like that's going to be the standard for that. I think we'll probably see with Ant-Man and the Wasp, we'll probably have a bit longer, more than that one. Let's see what else we've got here. Matt says, could you see them adding in Marvel's a sample collection? So they've actually already got a number of collections available here. I'm not entirely sure quite what that one is, but let's just have a look here. So here in the UK, we have got quite a few ones. We've got like the Marvel. So Marvel's a sample collection. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that one. Matt says, I recently see they've added an international collection to Disney Plus, but not in the. Unfortunately, with the collections, what they tend to do is we've got here, for example, a Made in the UK one. We've got an Asian Spotlight collection. Because most of these shows are not available in the US, they aren't putting them all in there. I suspect they will be activated at some point. It's just the US just doesn't have as much content as internationally, but we are seeing some big changes. Let's see what else we've got here. Knoxway said, I actually like the National Treasure. Hopefully it gets picked up for season 2. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. And what I'm waiting to see really is what the Nelson ratings are, because they should be coming out, I imagine, next week, late end of next week. We should find out the second week of December. So that will be when the double episode drops. So, for example, Willow has actually never made the Nelson chart yet. So, I mean, that we're talking couple hundred million minutes. It's not been cracking up that. So it's very interesting to see how if it doesn't hit the Nelson chart, then it really shows that not a lot of people have been watching it. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the be all and end all, because we've seen other shows that have not been on that chart get second seasons. But I think if they're looking to cut costs and viewers aren't watching it, depends internationally as well. Could be a big one internationally. Ricardo says, by the way, the Punisher movies were owned by Lionsgate in the US and Sony internationally. I don't know if Disney will dispute them from now on. It's probably more to do with maybe the Sony deal, because there's been a few Sony films have been added on to Disney Plus internationally. Dana says, if Disney does acquire the WWE, do you think that this programming will go to Disney Plus or go on to ESPN Plus, which could help it go worldwide? And Caleb added to that, if they're successful with it, that would work out to have it on both Disney Plus and ESPN, since WWE fills quotas for both sport and entertainment. I feel that we're in a bit of a weird situation with ESPN. I do actually think that actually them owning WWE would be really good for ESPN, because when they get all this football rights and all the rest of it, they don't usually own the shows and the things that they do. So with the WWE, they would actually own it. Interesting enough, Disney's actually acquired the worldwide rights to the XFL football. They're going to be on ESPN Plus and I think some ABC shows, and they've got to announce where it's going. So it's going to be interesting to see where XFL goes. Does it go to Disney Plus? Could we start seeing some sport coming in that way, or will it go to ESPN and Star Plus and all the rest of it? It's going to be interesting to see how all that works. So waiting to see what happens with the XFL. Barbatron says, do you think Warner Brothers Discovery is going to get better? I would hope so. I would hope that it would do, because it's been they've been making some great content, Warner Brothers, but they've been in the same way really that all the studios have. I feel like they've been churning out so much stuff, and some of it's not been hitting, some of it does hit, and I think they've just got to. I'd rather they made 5 great shows than 15 average shows. I do think they are going to get better. The better scripts are going to go through. The things that are good are much more likely to get through. But I do think eventually we'll get there. I'm hoping with the DC lineup. And this is the other thing. I want DC to be good, because I love Batman. I love Superman. I love all those characters. A strong DC makes Marvel better. When DC is flapping about, Marvel can take the gas off because it doesn't have the pressure. If a good DC comes up, it could give Marvel a kick up the butt to do some decent stuff. Matt says, do you see Marlin collections like 1980s Marvel collections? I don't. They've not tended to go into them. I think there's a question of how many collections you can have. You've got to be careful with how many they do. The Rock did say that the X-File will be on ABC, FX, ESPN, and ESPN Plus. YouTube. Which is interesting, is that Redbird Capital is one of the X-File, and I almost joined Red. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of connections going on there. Right. So, got any more last-minute questions before we end this one for the day? Yes. So, on that note, thank you very much for everyone for joining in for the live chat, and thank you to all of our Patreon and YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your continued support. Obviously, check out this week's podcast. Next week, we'll be back. Me and James will be doing a podcast. We're going to be talking about like Willow. We'll be talking about a load of the content that's come out over the last couple of weeks. We're having a catch up on all of that one. We'll have news videos going up throughout the week, obviously, as well. Check us out over at What's on Disney Plus. You can find us on all the different social medias, etc., and so on. And these two are getting a little bit grumpy. So Kayla says, I agree with you, Roger, that both DC and Marvel have to be good. Same way with both A and EW must coexist. A forcing WD. It does. That's it. It's the same thing, all of it. Thank you very much, Dana. Thank you to all of you. You can't come up as well. You're too big. You're too big. Say hello. On that note, guys, thank you very much. We shall see you guys soon. Latest. I gotta find the button. Hey, where we go.